Nobody likes to make mistakes, but what kind of mistakes do I see most often being made during labor? Today, I'm going to give 3 of the biggest mistakes that people make and actually how you can fix them. A lot of them I have videos on that you can watch because I don't want you to make those mistakes. That's why I made this video, so let's jump into it.
Announcement. The pregnancy nurse is a nurse, but not your nurse. This is informational, not medical advice. Thank you.
And just in case we haven't met yet, hello, I'm Hillary. I'm the pregnancy nurse. I've been a nurse since 1997. I've got 20 years of labor and delivery experience. And I'm telling you, I saw these 3 mistakes all the time at the bedside. So I'm really glad to help you guys prepare and pivot to make your birth a little bit better. Now, one of the mistakes I'm not going to mention, but it's ahead of time, is not knowing what you want. So many people either come in with either a solid birth plan or just like, whatever. But it's important to know what's important to you so that we can make the birth as good and as close to what you would like as possible. Doing a birth plan in the right way is one of the best ways to do that. I actually have a whole free birth plan series that you guys can check out. I will link it in the description box. Now, this first one is a decision that you make earlier on, and it is using a doctor over a midwife. And it is one of my soapbox things, and I feel like I just don't catch people early enough, but I am a huge fan of certified nurse midwives. The acronym for that is CNM. Now, there are so many different midwives, and I find it really frustrating that somebody who's just interned and delivers at home is called the same thing as somebody who likely has a doctorate and delivers in the hospital are called the same thing. But that is a story for another day. Certified nurse midwives can deliver in the hospital, and they can take care of most patients. Even things like if you start to get preeclampsia, they can just consult with an OB or a perinatologist and still have that continuity of care that you're looking for. Midwives tend to spend more time in the office with you. They spend more time with you in labor and delivery than an OB most of the time. Now, there are bad apples in all of this, or there are good apples in all of this. I've seen OBs who practice like a midwife, and I've seen midwives who practice like an OB. So, it can vary, but I'm a huge fan of midwives. If you are under 30 weeks and not super happy with your prenatal care, check out a midwife. See if there are any in your area. There are some areas that just don't have midwives, and I'm hoping that we are making a change in this area, but a midwife can be really helpful. One of the biggest things is that midwives actually have less interventions than OBs. Now, this isn't exactly comparing apples to apples because OBs tend to have the higher risk patients, right? Twins, triplets, those are not being seen by a midwife. And there are things that if you have, you're more likely going to need to see an OB rather than a midwife. But I really have seen that midwives tend to be more patient. They tend to want to promote the physiology of birth a little bit more. I'm just a really big fan of them. And I feel like people are afraid of them because when they hear midwife, they think home birth and they're thinking, I want to deliver in the hospital. But if Hillary, the labor and delivery nurse who gets you prepared, not scared for hospital birth, promotes a midwife, it's something that you should really consider. And if you're at the end of a pregnancy and you're considering another baby, think about a midwife with that one. I just think a midwife can be so good. And I cannot tell you how many patients that I would meet them and they were so lovely and I knew that their OB did not match them at all. And they would have done so well with a midwife. So I'm just out here spreading the good word on midwives. I actually have a whole podcast that I did with a midwife that I'm going to link down below in case you want more information about midwives. I think you might find that one helpful. Oh, and one pro tip that I just noticed on my notes: midwives tend to have decreased tears and decreased episiotomies. Amen, right? Again, not exactly comparing apples to apples with a midwife and an OB care, but I really do think they're a little more patient in all areas of birth. That's just what I've seen. Again, good and bad apples from both doctors and midwives, but check them out. And if you have questions about midwives, ask them in the comments. I would love to answer them because I just think it's not something that's clear because everyone just calls them a midwife and that varies so much, especially in the United States. The next one, we're going to bring out our friend here, is not moving enough. Now, it's really easy to think that our pelvis is just kind of pretty stable, right? It is a very big bone. It is a very hard bone. Thank goodness we need a hard pelvis, but our pelvis can actually flex. This area back here can flex a little bit, and especially when you're pregnant, this symphysis pubis can flex up in the front as well. So when we change positions, that gives our baby a better chance to find their best way into the pelvis. Now, I'm here to say that it is so easy to just lay in the bed because when we're in pain, that's mostly what we want to do, right? We want to curl up and just wish we were not in pain, right? But Using movement during your labor can actually make that pain feel better, and it usually helps labor move quicker. But because movement does not come naturally when you're in pain, I actually have labor movement cards that are included in the bundle version of my online prenatal class for couples. Definitely check it out. And I gotta say that movement's not gonna come natural for your partner. So there can be some really good tips for your partner to help you move. They can help you move physically. They can remind you when it's time to move. And I have the partner tips with those labor movement cards in the online prenatal class for couples so that they can be integral in this part, because you're probably thinking, why is everything on me? But this is something that you can really transfer to them. Like, you are in charge of movement. You're going to help me move. You're going to remind me to move. And that's going to be awesome on their end, because they love to have a job to do. Otherwise, they feel useless, and nobody likes to feel useless. So teach them how to help you in a good birth class. The one that I recommend, I'll link down below. Now, number 3 kind of ties into this, and it is not getting your partner involved. Your partner's natural state, because I've seen this on thousands of births, is going to be sitting in the corner, scrolling their TikToks or watching some YouTube videos, probably not me, on their phone. They're going to be very nervous. They're not going to know how to help. They're probably not used to the hospital system. Although I've even seen doctors over in the corner scrolling TikTok because, they're not an OBGYN. So they're just like, this is very foreign. And the person that I love so very much is in a lot of pain, and I don't know how to help. It is not a natural thing for your partner to know how to help you when you're in a lot of pain. And I don't know if you've seen people who are in a lot of pain, but you start to get anxious too, because you're like, I want to be able to help them, but I just don't know how. But when you get your partner prepared in a good birth class, they can help you out. And if your partner is like, nah, I'm good. In the online prenatal class for couples, in the bundle edition, I actually include key point videos that you can go through in, I think, less than an hour to get those key points into your partner so they're at least moderately prepared. Although I recommend them going through the full class with you. That's kind of a nice thing. Or, if you finish your birth class by 34 weeks, you can jump into those key point videos closer to when you go in the hospital for a quick review, because who doesn't love a review right before the test? And so many women are saying, I am totally prepared. I'm watching the YouTube videos. I'm watching the TikToks, which that's a video for another day. But I have to tell you that if you are feeling super prepared, but your partner's over in the corner starting to get anxious when he's noticing nurses come into the room and do things with you, that anxiety is going to travel over to you, and you're going to start feeling anxious as well. So you both got to get prepared, because you're both going to be in the situation together. It is a huge mistake that so many people are making. Get that partner prepared. Get them on the same page from day one. And I actually have a whole video on preparing your partner that I'm going to link to down below. Now, these are 3 mistakes that I see people making during labor, but what are the other mistakes that I'm seeing people make? I have a whole video with some of the biggest mistakes that I see. I'm going to link it up above and down below. What of these are you going to change? Which one do you think you're making? Tell me down in the comments. Thanks for joining us here on The Pregnancy Nurse, where we get you prepared, not scared, for your upcoming hospital birth.